Welcome to Refocused Radio. We are here again today. We have a true honor talking to our special guest. She is an amazing person. It's all about not just education. We're talking about access. We're talking about being activists. We're talking about helping the community. We're talking about helping people. We have our guest today, Jenna Udenberg. She has a website you need to go to. Her organization is awesome. It's aboveandbeyondwithyou.org. She's not just someone that knows how to help people and lift people up. She's someone that has a ton of experience. Educator with 19 years in the classroom. She's been using her gift and her talents to uplift other people, serving other people. I'm so excited to have her on the show today. First and foremost, Jenna, I want to say thank you for being on. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being on. When you think about your journey, you have an amazing story. It takes us back to your childhood. If you can, kind of set the foundation for the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up in rural Minnesota in beautiful Lake Superior. At age 7, I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. The story goes the family and I were out ice skating on a flooded pond in a local park, and I had a fall. And the next morning, I was a little first grader, playing around in a bubble bath, getting ready for school. And my right knee floated up to the surface of the bubble bath, and I lifted up my left knee, and my right knee was twice the size of the other one. And like any good little first grade girl, I screamed for my mom because moms make everything better, right? And that started a long journey of getting diagnosed with the juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. Had to go to the next big city to get that diagnosis, and then had to go down to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota for the official one. Because in 1988, that's when the tick-borne illness of Lyme's disease was coming on the scene. So they had to make sure that I indeed had arthritis and not Lyme's disease. So lots of not okay tests for a little one, but I survived through it and went on to, lots of orthopedic surgery starting at age 15, 16. And I've been a self-advocate for pretty much my whole life. Took a break during my college years because I had to do some hard things with discrimination and those kinds of things at the collegiate level. So I took a break after college, but then during the pandemic, I was in the middle of teaching from home, and my school district came back and said they were no longer interested in accommodating my work from home order. And at that time, I was a 2020 Bush Fellow, and so then accessibility educator became my new role, and wrote my first book within my spokes and founded Above and Beyond with You. So that's life in a nutshell.
For someone that, like yourself, who had to go through those twists and turns, you definitely sound like a person that, hey, come at it because I'm coming right back. You have this great mentality, and I can feel your energy of someone who just gets things done. You don't sugarcoat. You're like, hey, XYZ, boom, boom, boom. Let's get this going. What kept you motivated to have that kind of mentality? Because you easily could have had a different perspective where you felt like people owed you something, but instead you just showed up and you're having a great platform and teaching other people to have better awareness of what it means to help people and serve people with different needs.
Yeah, those are great compliments that I hope I live up to. I would say my parents taught me at a very young age that when you come into a space, you want to leave it better than you found it. And I would say in the last several years, especially working with Above and Beyond with You, I've changed that. And like, I want to leave people in better places than the way that I found them. Part of it is my faith. I grew up in the church, but that was even in itself a struggle because a lot of churches are not wheelchair accessible. Went through different churches, went through some different church hurts, all the things, right? None of us are perfect. But my faith has really been what has gotten me through. I also went through a pretty intense time of depression when I was 15 years old. Had a couple different suicide plans, and all of those were thwarted, thankfully. But you got to take the hard knocks and you got to turn them into something better, because life is always going to throw us curveballs. Life is always going to give us lemons, and some days it's okay to make lemonade. Sometimes it's okay to grab the lemons and just chuck them back at life, right? So It's hard, but we just do the best that we can with what we're given in each day.
Sometimes life throw bricks at you too, and you just have to build your empire. But that's another story. When you think
Love it.
about leadership, you have been involved with the community, not just trying to uplift the community and those who need better access to, work, school, you name it. What's some things you've been able to learn and take away from being a community leader and being a voice for the voiceless?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. I would say in my last year or so, it's really all about everybody's story. Everybody's life is enough. Everybody's life matters. Everybody's story matters. And so it's increasing the platform for other voices and other stories to be amplified. And leadership is hard. It is not for the faint of heart. You're always going to come across people that think you should be doing something different or doing it in a different way, or thinking you should be doing more. And the reality is, like, I myself am disabled, and in CRIP culture, disability culture, we have a thing called spoons, and I'm trying to get better at knowing how many spoons do I have in a day, and what am I truly supposed to be spending my energy on in that day, and what spoons do I need to be saving so I have enough tomorrow to do that next work. And also, like, the word I was given when I wrote my book, is the word tapestry. And so it's not just my story, it's the story of all the other lives that are impacted by my life and that make my life possible, and the support system that I have and the support that I give to others. So we're all interdependent on each other, whether we want to realize that or not. But we do impact each other, and we have a way of lifting each other up. And that's what we need to focus on now more than ever.
Once again, you listen to Refocused Radio. I'm talking to our guest today, Jenna. When you think about the possible impact that you are doing for people out there who may never have someone to bat for them, may never have someone to stand up for them, what do you hope our listeners, our viewers will not just appreciate from your story, but to keep in mind, understanding there's people in their own communities that they can stand up for, or not, go to bat for, because it's a lonely space when you feel like no one cares, or no one is educated enough to understand, to care enough about what's going on in your life.
Yeah, I would say, if you're inspired by any of it, don't let it just be an inspiring story. What is it going to make you do? What is it going to motivate you to do? To stand up and be an ally. If you are somebody that is also in my culture or disability community, connect with others, because, like you said, it can be very isolating, but it's one of the coolest, most diverse communities to be a part of, right? Because anybody can enter our community at any time. So that's the awesome thing about disability culture and community. And as somebody who's rural, that I completely identify with little pockets of folks and programming and opportunities. It can be scarce, but to take that step or wheel out and grab somebody to come along with you if fear of the unknown is a thing, or if you're not sure about accessibility. And for our non-disabled listeners, I would say, ask curious questions, check your own biases, check your, are you saying things out of pity? Are you saying things out of insecurity of your own? Or can you just ask a curious question of, like, hey, how are you doing today? Is this space accessible for you? Is there anything that I can do to make these spaces or places or meetings or whatever it is, like, more inviting and meeting your needs, all the things. And to realize that, yes, I'm an open book, but it doesn't mean that every disabled person is an open book. And therefore, no, we shouldn't be. And we don't have to share diagnoses. We don't have to share a lot of those things that sometimes non-disabled folks feel like they're entitled to, and you're not, right? So, again, it just comes down to respectfully asking curious questions, wanting an authentic relationship with every human being, and just realizing that that's what we all are. We all have basic needs. We need to feel secure. We need to feel seen and supported. We need to feel heard. We need to be able to use a restroom, like all the things that anyone else would be able to do in any public or non-public setting. people in wheelchairs, people with walkers, people with hearing differences, hearing with sight differences. Anybody in the disability community needs equal access.
And I want to talk about that more because I feel like too, the more people can better understand that we all got needs, man. Let's just be real. We all got needs. So what makes you feel like you're better than someone else who is not getting their needs met? Because we try to say, well, I got life too. Well, I guarantee if you had life similar to this person that you want to neglect their need for help, you're going to have the same kind of attitude. Read the room. Like you might want to take a step back and see what's actually going on. How do you feel about that as far as people trying to understand from the perspective of someone who actually is living through this?
Yeah. A lot of times it's so interesting because I had never thought about this before, but I remember seeing somebody on Facebook or one of the social media posts, and she was like, this lady came up to me today, and I was just grabbing a can of soup at the local grocery store. And she's like, you are just so inspiring. And the lady in the chair was like, me grabbing a can of Campbell's soup is inspiring, So it's like you just don't think about like what others are seeing or reacting of that, right? So again, it just comes down to those authentic conversations. And like you said, it's like we all have needs. And for me, labels are a huge thing. Like as an educator, I know, little kids need to know that that's a purple crayon and this is a blue crayon, or that's a red stop sign, right? Like there's just a lot of reasons why we have labels in life. But yet as adults, it's like, okay, well, once we have a label, do we always have to use that label? So in my world, like I am so tired of people saying that, oh, I have special needs. Nope, I'm disabled. Oh, you're handicapped. Nope, I'm not a golf term, right? Like, and again, that's for me. I've been in a wheelchair for 37 of my 38 years of diagnosis. So I'm very cool with my disability and using, the word disabled and disability. And I'm proud of that because there is a lot that we go through in life that we can share, and that's really important. And yet, like the other day, I was just at a local restaurant, and the lady was like, "Oh, I had to be in a chair for like 2 weeks, and that was really hard." And like, I get it because you're trying to empathize and you're trying to like show that you kind of get it. But I think the other part for your question too is like, you're never going to get it, right? Like, I'm never going to know what it's like to walk a day in your shoes, and you're never going to know what it's like to wheel a day in my chair. So, but by us sharing stories and sharing life authentically and organically and sharing the hard stuff and being willing to being vulnerable with each other, we can kind of get an understanding of each other's lives, but we'll never fully get what it's like to be in your skin, in your body, in your culture, in your mind, right? Because even if we could, we wouldn't understand those emotions because we'd still bring our own experiences and our own emotions and our own baggage and our own trauma to those situations. So I think it's just a lot of deeper soul searching and being self-reflective and always having different, sayings like, for me, ... in my experience, ... Because we can't talk for others and we can't share for others, but we can share our story, and we need to share our story.
When you think about teamwork inside the community, I read in your bio, you work with a Lego robotics team. I want to learn more about that, and how has that maybe shed some possible light and how different individuals can come together with a common goal?
Yeah, I have been coaching First Lego League for the last 12 years, entering my 13th season. It is a phenomenal program. My team is called the Robo-Dweebs. People usually snicker at that name, but the kids love it and self-identify with it. So, yeah, it's awesome. So every August, it's an international competition, and they launch the theme. So this upcoming year is called Unearthed. So the kids, all the details aren't released until August 5th. So I just know some general things for this season. But they're going to start figuring out how can technology and robots help in archaeological digs and that science area. Last year was all based on submerged and how you could need to help oceanic explorers. So the kids kind of get this theme every year. They get anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 Legos to build this like 8-foot by 4-foot robot board. Then they have to use Legos to build an autonomous robot, and they get 2.5 minutes to try to solve all of these robotic mission models. And then they're also judged on their core values. They're also judged on a research project. They have to come up with a real world problem and find a real world solution by interviewing engineers, working on their presentation skills, using their teamwork. And then they also have to present in front of judges their robot design. So how did they design the robot? Why did they design it a certain way? What missions did they do? How did they do their mission strategy? So it's just a great program developing middle school kids. My whole thing is I'm way more about the core values. Let's make better human beings. Let's give kids the soft skills that they can use throughout their life. And how can we impact our community? So we have a great thing called Age to Age. And we've been able to create this program where we offer a couple different times a year the ability for our senior citizens or our older adults to come together with our middle school teams and create different Lego sets. And so it's so fun to see older adults being like, I can't do this, or Legos are for kids. And it's super fun to see both of them working intergenerationally to create this awesome, small Lego build to ginormous Lego builds. And then we usually put them out around our community so the rest of the community can see what intergenerational work these kids and older adults are doing together.
It takes some humbleness too. I can kind of sense, because no one person on that team is more important than the other person next to that person. How important is it for people to understand that, okay, I know we're talking about Legos, but hey, we're going to tie this back into the whole interview overall message, because if you can take one thing out of that is we all have an important role, if you will, like a assignment that we had to fulfill. And if we're not careful, if we do bad at our part, it kind of messes up the whole team as well.
Yeah, and inclusion is one of the core values of FIRST. So working together, figuring it out, making sure that one voice isn't louder than the rest, and making sure that they're always talking about their process, because it's more important about the process than the product.
Once again, listen on Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Jenna Udenberg. Go to her website. We're going to talk about the organization more, talking about Above and Beyond with you.org is the website. Let's talk a little bit more about your organization, because I know there's a lot of resources that you have. Kind of explain what are some ways that you continue to impact your community, and what are some resources that people can look up if they feel like this could be something that will help them or someone that they know.
Yeah, we are involved in a lot of like local agency, governmental, small business, local industry spaces and places, and kind of being a stakeholder in some of those big projects that eventually will impact our region. We offer consulting and training. So we are working on developing specific tailored training for some of our local medium-sized businesses. We have some different folks throughout the state of Minnesota that are wanting like on-site like ADA consulting and like site assessments. And so on our board, we have a board of 9 folks. 2 of us are wheelchair users, and so the rest are all amazing allies. We all have some connection to education, which definitely sets us apart. It makes us unique. We don't believe in like, hey, ADA is just a law. It's just a bunch of checklists, and that therefore, if you do all the checklists, you're great, you're accessible, life is awesome. Not really true. The whole point of Above and Beyond is that we go above and beyond ADA code. We want places to be welcoming. We want them to be inclusive, and we want them to be functional for as many disabled folks as they can be. And the other part of it that you'll find on the website too is that we all believe in promotion and being a conduit. So between me and my good friend, who's the president of Above and Beyond with You, we can't cover it all, right? So our wheelhouse, ching, is in mobility disabilities. But we know that the disability community, as we said earlier, is so diverse, and there's so many different needs and abilities within our community and culture that we have to be reaching out to all the other disabilities to feel and know and connect with those lived experiences, and to make sure that we are also connecting these businesses and agencies with them. And the other big part is just promotion. I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, and in that mindset, it was like, well, we built a ramp, but Jenna never came. Well, we had this kid's birthday party at this accessible hotel, but Jenna didn't come. Well, we did, XYZ, right? So then it puts all this pressure on that one disabled person, and that we're like supposedly like representing all of disability kind, which is like so not true. But then I've noticed a change after that was like, well, we built it, but they didn't come. And then it was always like, well, did you tell us that you now have a ramp on the back of your restaurant? Did you tell us that you renovated the bathroom so all of our human basic needs can be met at this hotel or at this space or at this state park or, whatever? So I really want to champion, and usually that's what is one of my first questions when I'm interacting with a new client, and they're just like, oh my gosh, no, you didn't think about that. And it's like, right. Or if you did promote it, did you promote it where we hang out? Did you make the social media posts using alt text? Did you make them fully accessible? Was the font big enough? There's a whole host of things to think through in a relationship. And that's what the with you of Above and Beyond with You stands for. Because we don't do just like a flash in the pan, like, hey, you hired us for this 20-minute thing, now we're done. It's like, no, we have a relationship. And so we want to continue to foster that relationship and be here as you continue to make things more accessible and inclusive. And the U, the capital U, is for a nod to my music career, because little 5-year-olds in kindergarten couldn't say Udenberg, so they changed my name to Miss U. And so that's how you got Above and Beyond with You. Making relationships, not a checklist, and working together, not just a flash in the pan, one-time opportunity.
That's great information. When those who are listening to this or watching us online, say there's leaders in communities or just an individual who wants to be a leader in making this awareness more public, what, if any, resources are available if someone says, hey, I would like to model this in my own area where I live? Are there ways that you can consult people or just give them some words of wisdom as far as how they too can build more inclusive communities?
Yeah, I would say hop on our website, connect with us on social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Insta. On our website and at Amazon and anywhere you buy your books, you can grab my memoir, Within My Spokes. All of our contact information is also in my book. Really just reach out and let's start that relationship and see what you need and how we can come alongside and make an amazing partnership to take you to the next level.
When you look at how government can be involved in this area, if you will, you personally, have you seen any positive involvement, or is there room for growth for better involvement? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I would say in my experience where I live and other stories that I've heard within community and culture, it seems like the more that people have been moved by people's stories, both positive and negative, it seems like there's more traction, there's more understanding of where we're missing the mark, and people seem to be able to say, oh, I'm sorry about X, Y, Z, just so you know, this is in our 5-year plan or our 10-year plan. And even though it doesn't help the immediate need or the immediate client, at least it's showing that there's forward momentum. But, the ADA was the largest unfunded mandate in the whole United States history of laws and bills. So let alone in our current climate of things not being funded anymore. And, there's just a lot of uncertainty. But the reality is the disability population is not going anywhere. We are getting larger every single day. We have people living longer. We have more medical breakthroughs. So there's more disabilities either being found, being lived through, and people thriving. And so, and then also with it being the most diverse minority group, like there's nothing stopping us. And so, kind of like you said earlier, it's kind of like, all right, well, thanks for the brick. I'm going to keep building this accessible space over here. So, like, just keep tossing us bricks and we're going to keep building. And it's hard and it takes us out for a little bit before we figure out, like, hey, we healed from getting that brick to the head, but now we're building something with what you thought was a barrier. We're turning into something better. So I hope that that's our encouragement as our minority group. And I also hope that is encouragement for our allies, because we have to band together to continue to make sure that everyone is living and surviving and thriving, more importantly, by having access to all the things that everyone else has access to.
One last question, by the way. Listen to Refocused Radio, talking to our guest today, Jenna Udenberg. Go to her website, aboveandbeyondwithyou.org. Last question will be, if someone's watching or listening to us, what's the best way? I mean, we know donations are great, but outside of making donations to your organization, what's the best way that if someone is moved and they want to serve or volunteer or see if they can be of a helping hand, what's the best way someone can get involved if they feel like they're moved to connect with you?
Yeah, I would go to our website, aboveandbeyondwithyou.org, and there's a contact form, and we get back to you within about 24 hours, if even less, because we're pretty quick and responsive. Or like I said, hop on the socials and connect with us there. And then also all of the proceeds from my book go directly back to Above and Beyond with You. So that is another way to learn more, and then also give in a small way, but a very important way, back to Above and Beyond with You.
Well, once again, been listening to Refocused Radio, and like always, want to say to our guests, Jenna, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.